Hey everyone, I'm Jack with Cryton Chronicles,
Hi, I'm Kate.
and we're going to review the Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 5, Eastwatch. And just so you know, it's a spoiler review, so spoiler alert. I might have my little thingy going. But yeah, so this is kind of, I feel, a mess of an episode. And there was a lot of scenes, so our usual method of going through it's going to be a little, disjointed a little, but so yeah, a little choppy. So, but yeah, so I'm gonna try to start with some of the lesser stuff, I guess, and then build up towards the end. So, and that would probably start with Bran. He had like the shortest scene.
Yeah.
So it was literally just him warging out and controlling some ravens, which was a pretty cool scene. Like seeing them go across the whole, continent northward and. You could see Eastwatch. I don't know if you remember. Yeah, you could see Eastwatch, and then they go over the wall, and then they travel, and then comes across the Night King and the Army of the Dead. So, and it was pretty cool, but it's just he then basically his part was just to see that and send ravens. So, send out ravens, and that was it.
Yeah.
So it was just a cool scene. But I'm glad that they showed him doing some of the warging. But, they haven't really still done a whole lot of vision stuff. But, whatever. So, and then probably next would be Arya and Sansa. So, in Winterfell, since we're in Winterfell anyway, I guess with Bran. But pretty much we just saw Sansa struggling with some of the lords. Not being okay. They're saying, oh, we didn't agree to have you in charge or this and that. And the King of the North shouldn't be anywhere but in Winterfell and in the north, and so, I don't know. For me, this part just annoys me. And
the same.
Yeah, it's like these lords. I don't actually remember the names. I did have them, because there was a specific lord. It's always the same dude, like one of them at least, or two of them, and they're just always complaining and bitching, and they're always the ones that are questioning Jon and going off on that. And now they're doing it with Sansa. It's these characters are boring and dull to me.
Yeah, they're just fillers.
Yeah, it's like fillers, but it's pointless filling, I think,
right.
Because it's just the same thing over and over and over. So I hate it. It's just boring to me. And I know they're trying to show her struggling and stuff, but it's dude, they're saying the same thing over and over. So anyway, so Arya confronts her a bit on that, and saying, well, you didn't back up Jon a lot and this and that, and really embrace her authoritative means and whatnot. But I don't know. So, and then, you could see some tension between Arya and Sansa. And, yeah, did you think anything on that?
No, I mean, I think it's,
Yeah.
sisterly,
Yeah.
bickering, I guess.
Yeah,
a little bit.
just bickering back and forth. And, but this leads into, later in the episode, we find Arya basically spying on Littlefinger. So you see her kind of watching over where he's meeting with other people, some of those actual lords, I think, at least one of them, who was arguing with Sansa and all that, I believe. And so again, I can't remember some of these characters. It's kind of because I don't really care about them at all, and they seem to serve no real purpose. They did at first when they argued, but now it's all they do. So but so she sees them arguing with them, or not arguing, but just talking, and all these other people, just a random woman, and then and then someone delivers a little scroll or letter and whatnot, and she breaks into his room to find it.
Yeah.
So and she finds it, and it's the note that Sansa was forced to write by Cersei to Robb, and to bend the knee basically to Joffrey and such. And I think it was their supposed one chance to Robb's chance to end the war and not be beheaded or who knows what. I think it's that was season 1, I think, or 2 or something. So it's so long ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she finds that, and what I don't get is I don't know if they're trying to imply, because obviously it feels like you find out she leaves, and then who's there? Littlefinger.
Right.
So it's he knows all this stuff's going on and knows he's being spied on, and he's stepping ahead, trying to stay ahead of the game, and I don't know if that letter was supposed to increase the divide between them. You would think Arya would have the hindsight to know that, or foresight, I guess, to that she would be forced to possibly write that. That's not out of the norm. Like,
Right.
is she going to see that and be like, oh, she was, like, betraying Rob? I don't really know. So it doesn't make sense to me. So, do you have any theories about this, Elle?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I have a theory that, I don't know, it's not really a theory, but and this would actually upset me, just because of what they show on the show, is that if Arya and Sansa are ahead of Littlefinger and also plotting this stuff to make it look like he's ahead of the game, and then, like, they're like, surprise, girl power, and, like, then get the drop on him, and Arya kills him with a dagger or whatever, and F's him up, and then, like, and they knew the whole time, and were setting him up to think that,
Right.
Because what they showed, you wouldn't think it goes that way, but with the show currently as it is, in its state, it's like all these like red herring things that I could see them doing just for the sake of it. Even if the scenes don't make sense, because why would you be like, oh, like look at the thing, and and like this and that and all this stuff. So I don't know. That would annoy the heck out of me. But so hopefully that's not what happens. So we'll see. But Littlefinger's time has to be coming to an end, I feel like, at this point. So, so we're going on a bit much of this. It's already like whatever, but. Sam and then the Meisters. Did you like this scene or?
It was okay. It was I don't know.
Okay, I don't know. It's just he was trying to warn them. They had the letter from the Raven from Bran, and basically like had to they had to like debate whether it was like kind of like, oh, this is real or this isn't real. And then Sam was trying to convince them that
I mean it's kind of like what they decide to think is real is how they make their decisions, and is kind of I don't quite understand it, I guess.
Yeah. I don't either. It's still kind of, obviously Sansa fought a White Walker, and that made them laugh him off, basically, and this and that, and that's after he's trying to... But even though he knew who Bran was, they knew he was a Night Watch, they let him be on the wall, and verified that, but it doesn't seem to matter. They're like, well, it could be true, but it could be a plot by the Mother of Dragons to get... Which kind of makes sense, because to divert the armies and all the attention to the kingdoms and whatever, and then maybe the Mother of Dragons could attack, but... later on, I'm going to touch on some stuff that I feel like just seems awkward and weird to me with their information and what they get for whatever channels they use. But, Sam just gets pissed and leaves. And then there's a scene later on with him and Gilly. And, this was, I don't know. This was one of the parts that I hated probably almost the most. So, because it was just them looking through the books, talking about the stuff. And then she randomly was bringing up facts and then brings up an annulment that just happens to be the annulment of Prince Rhaegon, and because he was married to a Dorne woman. I can't remember who now. I don't know if it was Ellie or something. I can't remember. But basically it was stating that there was a secret wedding with the prince... Rhaegar and is it Alana Stark? So I don't know. That's something that kind of, or Lyanna Stark, yeah. Okay. So, but and that was like what started the whole war, because I mean Robert thought she was kidnapped, all this stuff, and then the war started there, and kind of what we were introduced in season 1, kind of when they were talking about their past, adventures and warring and all that. So with Eddard. So, but so I did not like this as information just randomly came up this way. I thought it was
and it's coming from Gilly, who's one of the more minor characters, and that's kind of how it's...
Yeah, and Sam misses it, but I don't know if he'd even get it. But at the same time, it's like, I just think it was lazy. And I have a problem with this because I feel
Here's our thing of history, sort of.
Yeah, but they were just looking at, like, I think one person's thing, which was, like, another thing. These two can, like, find all these things randomly in the books. Oh, it's this is gonna take forever. Oh, dragon glasses. Here, a dragon stone, and like all this stuff, and he finds all these things just miraculously, and this is how you treat grayscale. Although that was a little more prominent, not just random, I guess, but still he cured it, which was whatever, not going there. But so anyway, so I just didn't like that it came from this character, or was more not even that, just more that that's how they decided just to do it in general. Like, it felt incredibly lazy and probably went over the heads of some people who weren't paying attention, which probably that was the point, maybe. And then they can be like, oh, no, we hinted at it here. Yeah. But from what? And then I don't know. That would just, I think it's lame. But, yeah, so that whole thing kind of just rubbed me the wrong way. And then it was kind of like, I felt like these are things that, if it's going that route and these things happen, I felt like, why doesn't Varys know these things? Like Varys or even Littlefinger or these other more prominent that have their spy networks, like that know all these things, and maybe even the Meisters, like they should know these things, and so they have the knowledge to potentially set things right, but they don't. And so if they don't know, then what the heck? And then and then it comes out this way, and it's just kind of like that random moment she decides to bring that up because I don't know. Anyway, I didn't like it. It was probably one of my least favorite moments in a lot of the series, to be honest, because it's a real big, important piece of information. Yeah. Because it means Jon Snow's not a bastard. Right. And so it's like he could legitimately be a heir to the Iron Throne. So, but. So yeah, so those were the little ones, even though we went off and we're at 11 minutes. But yeah, so now some of the other stuff. Jaime and Bronn, they just popped
survived.
Up. Yep, popped up in the lake. I have an issue with this, not as much as the other, but there's still an issue. Is Jaime was in full armor. Yeah. He had his sword. He's got a gold hand. They showed him sinking. Bronn sinking, though Bronn could maybe just get around more, but it shows him grabbing him and obviously pulling him up because whatever, but they're a ways down from where the action took place, so they just stayed underwater that whole time and swam that. He somehow could carry Jaime under the water that entire time without coming up for air. However, I expected them to become prisoners of war, which with what they were doing might have worked if they became prisoners of war and then they decided to use Jaime to. They could have told, okay, well, this is getting ahead, though, but, just the fact that they have this plan for Jaime and Tyrion to meet and whatever, and they could have done that and then used that moment to try to convince Jaime to try to convince Cersei. Right. And let them go. And, that could have been a peace offering or whatever, too, because, that obviously more people than I expected know, even random ones who don't even know the knowledge of stuff, know that Cersei and Jaime are a thing, right? So, which seems to be a lot more prominently discussed now. So, so I thought they were going to be prisoners of war, but instead they just got up. They talked about random stuff. Bronn saying he'd getting the hell out of Dodge basically once the dragons come. He's not going to be around. So. But it was I like the scene because I like Bronn and the interaction between the two, but just the believability of it was it was too much to kind of just suspend my disbelief or whatever, just because it just seemed ridiculous. They wouldn't be looking for them, even Tyrion, he was there, is he alive? Did he not care because he cared about him charging the dragon and dying? So I don't know. And then Dothraki weren't around in the area, surrounding, checking things. I don't know. A lot of it just was lame. And we did talk with a friend, Vrem, who said that supposedly I guess they're right outside King's Landing. I thought the dragons torched the supplies of gold and stuff, but I guess there was a scene where Randall Tarley came up and said that the gold was in the gates and all this, so they actually have that. So I thought that was going to be a huge issue with the group, with Cersei and the Iron Bank, but apparently not. Yeah. But I didn't see. When I look back at the scene, I even had the picture that I used. I'm like, man, I don't even get this sense that they were right outside King's Landing, and then I was like, what was the point gonna be? I'm already getting ahead now, but so sorry, but it's what was she planning to do, Daenerys? Was she going to attack King's Landing and then just happen to see, here's an army heading outside, heading to the city, capital, so I'll just attack them instead, and then go back, right, or whatever? Because it's what? Like, what were you going to attack the city? Why didn't she just do that and then just go full out? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, what was the plan? Because they wouldn't have necessarily known where his army was at in relation to everything or anything. Mm-hmm. But that's a huge problem I have with the issue, even though people have, like, I've read online, they're like, people complaining about teleporting or, you know, being childish and lame or whatever. And it's like, yeah, we get not having to show boring parts, but it's a point of making it realistic to where everybody's getting to everywhere, and it's just, we don't care about the time lapse and like how real it is. The
connector points.
Yeah, just how real it is and realistic. Like at least make a little more where it seems like it's not. So, but it was just, so I don't understand what their plan was anyway to attack if they were outside King's Landing and all this stuff. Because I know there's a big thing with Jaime sinking and it was like deep, and then he mentioned people said it was a chain. I didn't even double check that because it was like the chains or whatever. But I still don't know. It was like they were right here and then they just dropped. I don't know. I can't remember. It was like it just looked deep, so I could kind of understand the critique there. But and then it just was even worse when they just didn't have to come up for air. They weren't captured. They just swam
so
a football like 100 yards away at least plus and like.
And obviously Jaime didn't get any breaths because he was knocked into the water. So
it just So you know there's that, but so they just kind of complain about that and discuss, you know, what we're gonna do. Like Jaime's like, we're effed because they got dragons and she's only used one here, and so, but and then he goes try to convince Cersei. Jaime does about everything, and she just kind of blows it off.
Yeah,
like she's like, what do you expect us to do? This and that, and you know your place basically as a soldier.
Yeah.
So, and there's where I thought they were gonna really start to get the whole like animosity and like anger between maybe Cersei and Jaime, you know, because like at the end of last season it seemed like he was kind of getting to that point, like man, she looks like she's crazy, like she's losing her mind, something's wrong and this isn't good kind of thing, but then it was like boom, he was right back in, just like that, I'm in, like that's what Ken says. But like, so you just got like pulled back in, and I guess it's love, that kind of thing. But like I'm waiting for that because there was that prophecy that I was like hoping that would be fulfilled, and he was a part of it with Cersei, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But so beyond that, then we had the Tyrion, the Mother Dragon, like, so Daenerys and all of them, they're all there. They have the Lannister soldiers. Like, obviously this has to be taking place while they can't be underwater for that long, like, and get it now, Jaime and Bronn, but apparently they have all the other soldiers lined up and captured, and they're asking to bend the knee. Some bend the knee, especially when they see the dragon, and, you know, they freak out. But then you have Randall and Dickon, I'm not calling him Derek this time, Dickon, you know, being defiant and saying, no, we're not gonna bow and bend the knee and stuff. And so, basically she decides to make an example of them, and basically has Drogon like torch them. So, and then everybody bends the knee and stuff. So it's like you can see the entire time like Tyrion being very upset and sad and worried about it all. So he's seen the destruction. And we thought at first
that they were going to be like just fed.
I honestly thought they were going to feed them to the dragon, which would have been a little messier, but probably not as cordial or whatever. I mean, she was saying like, I respect that you're not bending the knee and stuff, so she was being a little kind of respectable, I guess. But but I thought they were gonna eat them because I thought that'd be awesome. But I don't know, they were wearing armor and stuff, so I don't even know what they've been eating, the dragons. They haven't shown any of that before. They made a little example of it, kind of like touch on that finer details in like season 3 or 4, but they haven't. They're like, forget it, they're just eating whatever. So but so, they torch him. Obviously, he's all feeling bad about it because it kind of harkens back to, is she, like, mad like her father? Like, is she, like, going to be the Mad Queen kind of a deal, even though it's already kind of Mad Queen, so it's kind of like, So, it's, I don't know. So, basically, he was just feeling... Obviously, like, he wanted to convince her otherwise, but, you know, and some people I've seen back and forth on this, like, you know, some are like, what do they expect her to do, like, and, you know, not torch him kind of thing, like, you know, but, you know, it's war, and who knows, but I think that for the show's purpose, they were kind of showing it, too, to kind of, like, be, like, that whole, like, potential foreshadowing, but probably red herring of like, is she going to be like her father, just start burning people and go crazy and whatever and all that. So, but this is also an issue I had with the Meisters that I want to get to, was like how they get their information and what they know and what they don't know. Because in that scene with Sam and the Meisters, when he leaves, there's someone's like, is that the one whose brother and father were just torched or whatever the hell it was? And I'm like, how the fuck do they know this?
Yeah.
Like, what? Where do they get this information? Somebody thought it was important enough to like send a raven. Who sent it?
Right.
Like, who the hell like, how did they get that information?
Yeah.
Like, that just irritated the hell out of me. I was like, how the hell did they? Because I said just torched. Like,
right.
so just
like,
torched, it's like means that they just knew that it happened in the moments, you know, give or take, that it happened. Like, and it was like, what? Like, who said this? Who reported? It was like someone like in the group was just like, oh, okay, this sucks. Well, okay, the Harleys are toast now. Update your books and documents. Like, I don't know who's doing it. That annoyed the hell out of me too. So maybe somebody knows, but yeah. And so even after that, you know, they have the whole torching of them, and Tyrion's talking with Varys. I mean, they discuss it, and Varys kind of was like, went on his little spiel about, like, yeah, that's how I told myself. I like Tyrion's trying to cope with it and make excuses like, there's nothing I could do. She had no choice. This and that.
Right.
I tried. And like Varys is like, yeah, I kind of tried to do that too with the Mad King, because he was like kind of by his side.
Yeah.
And like as torching people, and still he tried to tell himself this and that. And Varys was drinking, so I'm like, great. Now they're like, Tyrion's drinking again, because I don't think they really showed him drinking much. He's kind of like chilled, so now he's drinking, and Varys is drinking. I was like, that felt awkward. And I was like, great. So Daenerys is forcing these freaks, the fucker, I won't say fuckers, to drink, and it's like, what the hell? So, so yeah, that's not good. So they might need AA meetings. So I don't
Tearing
know.
out what he almost needs.
Yeah, usually he kind of cold turkey quit there. But,
I know, right?
Yeah. So yeah, they discussed that. One moment that was cool, that they had another moment between those two, and it was a raven sent a letter to Jon, and you know they're kind of like sitting there, and Tyrion's like, "What does it say?" And like Varys is like, "This is a sealed letter for the King of the North," and Tyrion's just like, and what did it say? That's all. And it's like, nothing good. So, because obviously it's not good that they're being informed that the undead is on the move. So, yeah. And, but then we had one of the cool scenes with Jon and Drogon. So, and that scene was beautiful, I thought. It was, the special effects were amazing. The dragons always look amazing. Even in the other parts where they torched Dickon and Randall and stuff. Like, the dragons just always look badass.
Right.
So, and, so they're, doing that. He's out on the cliff. She lands. He reaches out, touches Drogon.
Yep.
Drogon gives him a few sniffs, and so, I mean, we figure that the dragon knows
more than obviously Daenerys does and others. So,
like, he could potentially smell. I mean, they're always depicted in fantasy, whatever, as intelligent creatures and whatever, but he might be able to actually like smell it somehow, almost like the DNA or the blood kind of a thing or whatever. I don't know. So, and I'm assuming that that's kind of a thing that I mean, I'd like to think that that's something that was taking place there. So I
agree. That was probably one of my favorite scenes in the episode.
Yeah,
so.
And that's also when, he did call them beasts, and then she did not like that.
Right.
Mother of Dragons, Daenerys. So she was like, these are my children. Right. Which is maybe kind of creepy, but I guess it's kind of been the whole thing the whole time. So, even though she locked them up in the dungeon and all that and whatever. So, but, whatever.
Put them in their place, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. And then this is also where Jorah returned. So they had their reunion, Daenerys and Jorah, who it was touching and everything, but then Jorah sees Jon and he's like, oh crap, there's another guy. Like, he's always screwed. Like, he loves Daenerys and like he's always trying to get back with her or like get with her kind of a deal, and like then he had to go like almost get cast out. Then he had to redeem himself, brought Tyrion and stuff, I believe, or something. There was something like that, I think. And then then he got Grayscale. It's like, man, this guy's life sucks. So, I don't know. But, like, so, because she was like, you tried to betray me and have me killed, all this stuff. And it was just a mess. And then now he's back. And there was, like, the I can't even remember the guy. The when they were in the desert, the more like deserty kind of guys.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember their names now. I mean, I can't remember the main guy's name. He was in a few seasons, but
yeah,
they changed actors, I guess. But it's kind of odd.
Yeah.
But so but there's always been like another guy or something, and he's just never been able to like get in there. So
nope.
It's just he saw John, he's like, oh, great. Crap. So yeah, but so but there was a reunion, and then they all get together, and Daenerys, Davos, Jorah, Tyrion, all them, Jon, to concoct a plan to basically try to convince Cersei that a truce is more important because of the fact that there's an undead army coming, the Night King's coming, the Long Winter's coming, and so, I don't know. I mean, the plan ends up being, like, I think Tyrion brings it up, like, is it possible to get one of the undead people, not a White Walker, because that'd be nuts, but like just one of the whites, and bring that back and convince her, I guess. And so like right away they was like contemplating, like, I guess that's possible, and Jorah's he kind of offers himself up because he said he's there to serve, and maybe he's trying to impress everybody. I don't know, but he is an honorable person, it seems, for the most part, for where he's at, and so he offers himself up to go capture one of these whites and to bring him back. And then they're like, well, that's not going to matter unless we get granted an audience with Cersei, and they're not going to listen to any of us. And then so they're like, well, maybe Tyrion could talk with Jaime, and so they decide to smuggle him in. The plan is smuggle him in with Davos, because Davos is a smuggler. So, like, and I like Davos, and it's nice to see him actually kind of get a little more involved.
This season he's been pretty minor.
Yeah. So they concoct these plans, and these plans are the going into the King's Landing, one thing, but the whole steal a white thing, like kidnap a white, is dumb.
Yeah, I'm like,
if that's what they have to do to try to like convince Cersei, and like to even want to team up with Cersei, it's like you guys not been paying attention at all through anything going on in the past years. It's been years, I believe. So it's like, why even bother? I guess. Like, I don't know. So
like, I don't think she'd be on your side ever anyways, or should pretend to be, and then just
they have to have the knowledge that she would not upkeep that truce, but who knows. So anyway, that's their plan. So it's like, instead of like just bringing a dragon, I was like, why don't they bring a dragon and just fly over the wall, and then like pick one up, just snatch one up. And plus then you could have like the Dragon King be like, damn, they got dragons or something, like, because he doesn't know, maybe, because he doesn't know what the hell's going on. Like Bran saw them coming across. I'm like, I was joking with a friend the other day on the phone, I was like, I think the Night King's like lost. All these characters are going all these places, like everywhere, and the Night King's like, where am I? Like, where's Eastwatch? I don't. Is Eastwatch north? Like, oh, let's go up. No, oh, let's come up. Maybe it's west. And then like, I don't know, because his army that doesn't have to sleep, doesn't have to eat, can just constantly march, can't get to Eastwatch, while all these other people are going all over the place. Like all over the place. So all you people talking about the teleporting, blah blah blah, complaining is baby, F you. So it's something. It's just lame. So it bothers the hell out of me, and it always will. But there's so who knows. But I'm just like, they could see, like, he doesn't maybe even know. Like, if he saw a dragon, what would he decide? Like, the north isn't so bad, we'll just stay up here. Because they've been up there for forever, and, like, what have they been doing anyway, and what's their purpose? Nobody really knows what their purpose is, except maybe just wipe out everything and take over. Like, he probably doesn't want the Iron Throne. But if he does, why? Like, rule over no one? Like, so what's the point of that? So it's like, whatever. So, but if he saw a dragon, maybe he'd be like, this is cool, I'll just stay here because I've stayed up here for centuries, or whatever the hell it's been now. So he's been alive that long, or whatever, and who knows. So it's like, I don't know. So anyway, but instead, no, it's just, and people try to compare this. I saw, like, talking about, well, that'd be like the how it should have ended in, like, Lord of the Rings. Oh, you haven't seen those? Oh, well, I don't want to say anything, but basically, like, just where it could have been over in like like 5 minutes.
Oh.
But it's not like that, because the dragon come in, swipe, grab a white, and it doesn't mean that Cersei's going to be convinced or going to be anything. There's all these things that wouldn't end anything, so those people are wrong too. But in my opinion, so I don't know. But that's the plan. I hate it. I think it's dumb. Just even wanting to join up and party or whatever and create a truce, which I kind of get because they have to like fight the undead, but yeah, at the same time, the plan to get a white is just nonsensical. So anyway, Davos smuggles in Tyrion, and while at King's Landing, so they get all the way to King's Landing in a little rowboat, I guess.
A little rowboat. Yes.
So, and so they go in, sneak into the city. He goes to Flea Bottom and finds Gendry, who I've been complaining about just disappearing forever ago, and so they even make that joke in the pop culture. I would say I don't know, but like where people joke online of like, he's still just rowing out there. He's just rowing because he doesn't know where he's going, and so so Davos makes that joke, and I thought you'd still be rowing, and so. But so he grabs Gendry. They have their little reunion, and he agrees instantly to just go with them. He doesn't really care. He's just like, he doesn't really have anything really going for him anyway, and he stayed, I guess, under the noses of his enemies, potentially just hoping that they just don't recognize him or care or anything. So much time has passed. So, and then while they do that, you've got Tyrion, who had a meeting set up with Bronn, with Jaime by Bronn.
Yes.
So, and generally, basically, that's just they air their grievances to one another.
Right.
And, so they bicker and whatnot, and then it's just kind of left to the audience to, obviously that's just, they discussed the plan for a truce. So, and what's going on about the Night King and all that, and Jon Snow and Daenerys and all that stuff. So, so that was pretty much it for that, I guess. Mm-hmm. But then once they were trying to leave, all of them to Davos and Gendry and whatnot, some gold cloaks show up, and I like this part because it kind of shows Davos's like, well, I don't know if it's skill so much, but he's a smuggler, so he always like paid off and bribed and to get whatever, and just he was quick-witted and just like had all this stuff plotted out in case this stuff happened, and so like he's paid him, and then they came back, and and then he gave him like that shrimp that was supposed to be an aphrodisiac basically, and like that stuff was funny. But then unfortunately when they were trying to leave, then you have Tyrion coming back, and they're just like, "Hey, dwarf!" Like I'm like, okay, like we were looking for a dwarf with a scar a while back, or years ago, or whoever knows how long it's been now. And I'm thinking, how many dwarfs are there?
Right,
I have not seen a single other dwarf.
I know.
So I feel like, are they like? They could just be complete idiots, which most guards and scouts and whatever all seem to be in fiction and just whatever. They're just kind of like lesser whatever. That's drones. So, but like, I'm just like, how many dwarfs are there?
Right, that was the first thing I thought of too, and I was like, have we seen another one?
I haven't. Yeah, I don't think they've shown another one. So it's just like, and that happens to have a scar. I'm like, oh, maybe it was Sammy Joe, like Flufferbottom down in whatever, like, because he had a scar too. I don't know, like who else would it be? I guess at that point, especially when you got the scar, like, okay, a dwarf, which is obviously incredibly rare,
right?
And then a scar, like, on their face and whatnot. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. That bugged me a little bit. But, so they were kind of like, things got tense. Davos couldn't convince them for more money, and, well, he was trying, and then Gendry went ballistic and used his hammer. He prefers hammers over swords. So, which looks like a really heavy hammer, because if you think about it, but whatever, he can swing it like a beast. Yep, just knocks him on. Cool. So so they get out of there, and then and then there was like a brief scene after that where you see Jaime talk with Cersei, and and this was kind of weird too. Like, she basically reveals that she knew everything that was going on. And so it was like, well, what, do you think anything of importance goes on that I don't know about? And I'm kind of thinking to myself, like, probably, because otherwise yeah, some of the stuff that happened, especially in the last season or two, would not have happened. But, maybe, like, because she's at her position now and she's taken over, she just has more. But she's always kind of had that rule over, even over Tommen and all that. Like, she was always the one in control.
Making decisions,
all that's, and Joffrey. So it's like, I don't know. That was just kind of weird. Yeah. So, but supposedly now she knew and let it happen, and then she's like, are you going to punish Bronn and all this?
Right.
And it's just, but she says that she's thinking now that it makes sense to maybe play dirty, as if she hasn't been.
I was like, she's the queen of dirty.
Yeah, like, so, and like, pretend to have a truth or armistice or where it can benefit them now and defeat them, like, by, I'm assuming, betraying them at some point when it's advantageous for them. Right. So, nothing you wouldn't expect otherwise, but hopefully everybody expects it.
Right.
So, because, but hey, they're deciding to team up and try to do a truce with them and whatever. Mm-hmm. But, and I forgot to mention, because in the last time they met, like, Jaime mentioned that Olenna was the one who killed Joffrey, because they were talking about, because he brought up Tyrion or the other stuff that brought and just that Tyrion didn't kill at least Joffrey, but the father still. But anyway, but that she felt kind of betrayed there, because she was like, well,
she wanted a horrible death.
Yeah, she wanted Olenna to have like a crazy death.
Right.
Like, and Jaime convinced her otherwise, and then poisoned her. And like I said in the last, when that episode was, when we did the review, I thought at that moment when she revealed it to Jaime, he was going to go nuts on her.
Yeah,
and like butcher her and like just go crazy. But so I'm kind of impressed that he didn't. So it was good, cause character-wise. So, but yeah. So, but also in this moment too, there's this crazy reveal that she's pregnant. Cersei's pregnant, and like, and she's like,
is she really?
Yeah, like, yeah. He's like, who's gonna be, who are you gonna say is the father? And she's like, you, and all this. So he's all like happy, obviously, and whatever. But and then they hug, and she's like, never betray me again. And like, so I don't know if they're harking back. She's harking back to like the thing with the Olenna, or if it's more because she had that secret meeting with Bronn. But like, she acknowledges that was a meeting that was not the reason why she said like Bronn betrayed you, because it was a meeting without your consent or knowledge.
Right.
Like, and so if you knew that, then in that little sense, he didn't betray you,
right?
Unless it was the fact that he didn't kill Tyrion or bring him in. Which, I don't know. They didn't really explain what it was that she viewed as, so I'm assuming it's going to be that last bit. He didn't, like, turn him in and like, kill him.
Right.
Or something. So, so I don't know, because I feel like she could potentially be lying.
Yeah.
And then manipulating him. Well, and this is the prophecy thing that I was going to talk about, was, like, because the witch had told her she would have 3 children who would all die, and whatever. I know people had said, I guess there was a 4th, and we kind of tried to discuss a little. It was like, was there a 4th? Did she have one with Robert, but it was like stillborn, or I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Like,
it sounds familiar, but
yeah, I don't know. Like abortion. Like, did she do something drastic to like? Because I know she didn't want a real child with Robert.
Right.
Like, and so I can't for the life of me remember. And I thought it was kind of hinted at that she did something, whatever. Obviously, like, extreme, but I honestly don't remember, but it made me curious. But maybe it wasn't born or whatever it was, so maybe that didn't really count, or didn't, I don't really know. But then it's kind of been shown with prophecies with like the Red Witch and everything else with Stannis and like even Gendry and whatever it was, all that prophecies are kind of hit or miss, obviously, like, so they don't always come true and might not be just hard lines, so I don't know, but because she was also the one that prophesied that she would be, I think, choked out by her brother, which I'm assuming people would think would be Tyrion, because he's already demonstrated earlier that he does choke out people, but like, unfortunately, and that was a sad episode, but like, I just assumed it was going to be Jaime, and so I've been waiting for this anger, this whatever, and so part of me hopes that she's lying, he finds out, and she maybe even gloats about it or something, whatever it is, and maybe that creates that anger in him finally to like just say screw her and take care of business or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, because like there's got to be some kind of catalyst that's gonna finally get him to like snap and do that, unless he's not the one, and maybe that's not a thing. Yeah. So I know I've read supposedly that in the books he does like there is that animosity between them. But there's also animosity between Tyrion and Jaime that doesn't seem to exist here either, like very at that level. So I don't really know. So I'm not sure where they're going with it, but I don't know, we'll see. So, but and then we get toward the last half here. Jon and Gendry meet. Jon's doing his they're mining the dragon glass, and it's just kind of, he was supposed to present himself, according to Davos, as Clovis or something like that, not tell him anything about his history or whatever, but right away it's like, I'm Gendry, and I'm the bastard son of Robert Baratheon, Our dads were buddies. Yeah, like, so let's be buddies. So, I don't know, I liked it, I thought that was funny. Yeah. So, and the Gendry character, I'm assuming, wasn't maybe that like an important one, and I feel like I don't know in the books where that character is or how whatever, so I'm like, is it something that just like a lot of fans asked about it or people in general, and so they just put him back in because that whole where has he been for so long kind of thing? I don't know, but I thought Davos was getting him to craft and to blacksmith and do the weapons for the army to fight the undead. Yeah. For Jon's army, but and maybe that was the plan because he doesn't want Gendry to go with, but he was told about the plan to go beyond the wall, steal a White Walker, or kidnap a White Walker, not a White Walker, a White, and like, so he's like gun ho, he wants to go. So I'm like, okay, well, cool, I guess, but at the same time, like, he doesn't want him to go, but it's like they didn't even bring up the fact that he was like, maybe you should create these weapons that will actually like, maybe they already got weapons because they've just been mining it. I don't know what they've been doing. Maybe they have some. They haven't really touched on it, but why not wait to go beyond the wall until you actually have some of that? Yeah, like that's weird. Like, because I think it's mainly for White Walkers, like the Valyrian steel and the dragon glass. But it's like, so wouldn't you want that just in case? Because I don't know, you're going right into like basically the army to try to take one, and it doesn't make sense to me.
No, I agree.
This whole plan doesn't make sense.
That was one thing I was wondering. I was like, where are your like weapons for the?
I'm like, what are you going to be using as weapons? And he could craft them, and he's a badass smith. That was pretty much his role, and that was like he was like a prodigy basically. Like he was just badass smither, and even though he doesn't know swords and whatever, he does his hammer, he can make one out of that, I'm sure. And who knows, so which would be kind of cool, but instead it's just, hey, we're gonna go, okay, and that's it. And then everybody's like saying their goodbyes, mainly Daenerys and or Jorah and Daenerys, and he's all like, you can tell he's getting emotional, and he kind of wants to let her know exactly how he feels, and then there's Jon Snow, son of a bitch. And he's just like, so he backs down again and just, steps aside, and which is kind of funny because Jon Snow's just like, yep. Well, maybe you don't have to worry about it. I don't come back. Good luck. Later. Peace. Like, which is awesome. But, I don't know. Daenerys seems to like all these, like, guys throughout the series. Like, some have been for political gain, some have been for just romantic or whatever. But, I don't know. So, I feel bad for Jorah. So, even though I wanted him to die from grayscale, I feel bad for him. Yeah. So, so they just say their goodbyes and they sail off to Eastwatch. And the next scene we get, basically, and this is the closing out, is like, they hit Eastwatch. Yeah. They're there, and they show up, they're talking to Tormund about what's going on and the plan. And obviously he's down, and so he kind of reveals that, we ran into these stragglers and other people who want to go beyond the wall too. Yeah. And so then we finally get, I didn't even know what to expect, because I thought maybe there was going to be a confrontation between the wildlings there and just them coming up, because they don't know who the hell they are, really, and so they just, I guess, and you would think that they would want to fight, but maybe not, I guess, because the Brotherhood, those guys, Thoros and stuff, would be kind of more chill. And I guess the Hound's kind of chilled, so I guess not. But either way, they're locked up in the cells there, and so they all have this meeting, and it's kind of funny and odd, coincidental that everybody seems to know everybody. Like, Jon knows the Hound, right? Yeah. Gendry knows the Brotherhood, and then you got Jorah, who knows the Thoros. And it was like, what the heck? Everybody knows each other, and
they've already sat down and had a beer.
Yeah, so don't trust each other. Don't trust them. Don't trust them. It was like, but that's like, well, they're alive. Yeah. And they all want the same purpose. I kind of like Beric started giving a speech, almost kind of and here we all are at the same time for the same purpose for whatever, and I thought it was awesome, but then like Hound's just like, shut up. Like, are you letting us come with or not? So that was cool. Sandor Clegane there. And so yeah, they basically form like the dream team, Magnificent Seven, basically. So people have been saying Suicide Squad and whatever, and which is probably more true, and it might be more accurate because I think most of the Magnificent Seven, I don't remember, a lot of them got along in a way, but like there was always different personalities that clash and stuff. But Suicide Squad, I haven't seen the movie, seemed more like, you know, I don't know if they're referencing just that Suicide Squad or whatever. It's just like all different personalities and just like clashing or whatever. But so, you know, they all get together and they they just head out beyond the wall. Like, that's what we're left with. Looks like they have some people behind them bringing supplies, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't really know, but it mainly focused, obviously, on those 7.
Yeah.
They just geared up. Davos is staying behind. The rest are... It's like, we got Beric, Hound, Thoros, Jon, Gendry, and Tormund, and Jorah. Yeah, so... Yeah, you got those 7. They're going out. I had an issue with one of the scenes, like when watching it. See, this, I don't know. In fantasy books, this is something that is probably kind of really prominent. You just got like a group of people. You have wars in this, but you have like a group of like 4 people, maybe less, that like are badass, and they're just the characters of the story, and they go out and they do these incredible things and whatever. But I feel like at this point in the series, like, one, it didn't really fit. As much as it's kind of badass because of characters, so you got all these cool characters, and they're sending them out, and you're like, you don't know who's going to survive and live, you know, like, or survive and die, like, you know, not all of them are probably going to make it, and like, so I'm like, instantly I'm thinking, you know, there's just some cannon fodder in there, maybe even Gendry is, I don't even know, because he was just kind of randomly put in, like, so it's just. But with the context of the story and with the plan of what the mission is, it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
And so I just have a huge issue with it. And the scene where they show them as Jon Snow looks back, and then you got Tormund, I think, and someone else there, maybe Jorah or whatever, and then they look back, and then like it's like this chain of like looking back and like verifying everybody else is all there with them and whatever. It's like it was like. I don't know. The scene just seemed weird. Like, that wouldn't probably happen in real life, obviously. No. Like, so I don't know. But beyond
Cast
that,
a glance back.
Yeah,
you know, like.
yeah. So, but yeah. So they're going out and trying to kidnap a white. So that's where it's at. And I don't like that plan. Yeah. So. Despite some really great scenes and the dragons, I know we're literally running on almost 50 minutes here, so I don't know if I should split this into 2 parts. That seems really weird, but I guess a lot to say about the episode. I felt like it was a mess.
It was
like,
a mess.
I honestly would probably rate this an Oh My Nuts rating of, maybe like a 7.5.
I was on 7, I think.
7?
Yeah, I mean, like, some of my favorite scenes, like I said, were the dragon or the scene shots, and not really much of the acting.
There's a lot of great scenery, a lot of great whatever. The acting wasn't, I felt, not too bad, but it was like what they had to work with.
Right, exactly.
Like, and like scenes, the plots and the scenes, the story was just like, this is kind of lame.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just had quite a bit of issues with a lot of the stuff going on now. Mm-hmm. And like with the Meisters and the information and the knowledge, and then I'm assuming that the stuff that Sam took from from the library, even though it's just random crap, is going to have like a gold mine of information just miraculously that will save the day probably, which will annoy me. And however, Gilly might eventually bring up, like, I don't know if they'll meet Mother of Dragons, and then she'll mention Rhaegar, and she'll like, wait, isn't Rhaegar in the book about the marriage? I don't know. So I'm like, how's that going to come out? I'm just like, I don't know. So, but there's 2 more episodes. That's it. Yeah. Literally, for the season.
Like, my thought was, you know, in all the other seasons, it seems like the second to last episode is like the epic episode.
Yes.
So I'm like, is this just like the filler kind of setting up the scene?
Well, it's definitely setting up, like, it's setting up at least the scenes for the next 2 episodes.
Well, right.
So, like, because there's no way that's going to be just one, and I don't know how much they're going to jump around in it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it should almost all be that, and those last 2 should be, like, just all one. I mean, obviously, and I don't even know. Like, hopefully it's not they get back, and then they get the white back, and then they decide, okay, we'll team up. And then they got season 8. I think that's only 6 episodes. So, I don't know. I'm not sure how much of this is going to be rushed. I just know that, I don't know. It just seems rushed. So, I don't we don't watch the preview, so we don't know what's coming up. But obviously, I'm assuming a lot of it's going to focus just on the Magnificent Seven Beyond the Wall and trying to get that white, because you'd think that would have to be really epic. At least one entire episode,
yes.
with maybe a few splits to like other characters, maybe, and then maybe even Littlefinger. Yeah. I'm hoping Littlefinger within these next 2 episodes is toast. Like, I feel like they're kind of like hinting at it a little bit. It's probably Arya and that dagger. It should be, so that'd be great. And I can't remember. I didn't find out if she was on their list, but she doesn't trust him, and so it makes sense. So I don't know, but so we'll see. But again, 7.5 for me. 7. So there was a lot of good scenes in terms of like scenery and like the special effects and the dragons, like Drogon and the Daenerys, and the whole like when they're taking over the army and stuff, and then when he touched the dragon with Jon Snow, Drogon let him touch him, and like those scenes were like awesome. They were amazing. But beyond that, I feel like this episode was a mess. It was like just a mess. So I don't know. How about you? What did you think of the episode? Were there certain aspects that you really liked about it, and some that you just really didn't like? What do you think about kind of the teleportation, and like the one thing I would say with like, I try not to bring up the teleportation because I know people complain about it, but I still think it's a thing, especially then like bringing in the fact of the Night King, where they don't have to sleep, they don't have to whatever, and they can just constantly be on the move. Yeah. And like they're not yet at Eastwatch by the time they're doing all this stuff. Like, that's where I have an issue with the being realistic. Yeah. You know, like, they should have probably already been in King's Landing and, like, war going nutsos with how much everybody's been able to travel elsewhere. Yeah. With all the other characters. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So I'm going to probably just joke about the Night King, just bad at directions. He didn't ask for directions. How do you get to Eastwatch? How do I get there? I'll just keep walking and then go in circles. So, I don't know. But that irritates me. So, but yeah, what do you think about Littlefinger? Do you think he's gonna bite the bullet this next few episodes? Do you think Arya and Sansa are gonna get one up on him? And that was my guess. So even though I think it'll be lame, especially with the scenes of the show. Right. But, and what do you think about the Dream Team? Like everybody going north to steal that white, and what do you even think about that plan? Like, you think that makes sense? Like, out of all the options, that's the best choice. Even just trying to team up with Cersei, I guess. But like, yeah, who do you think's gonna survive? Who do you think's gonna bite the bullet there? Like, because I'm feeling that at least 3 of them are toast. Yeah. I would say I could feel 3 of them might not make it, but I don't know. We'll see. And then what about the pregnancy? Do you think Cersei is actually pregnant, or do you think she's kind of lying? You know, technically for the prophecy to be true, depending on that 4th child, I can't remember. Yeah. Like, is it potentially, you know, she might not live, and then like, you know, it might not be born, so technically she would still have 3, because she could be pregnant and just not have the child. Sure. So that would be really kind of crazy though. Yeah. But so I don't know, but I'm thinking I'm hoping kind of she's lying and trying just to manipulate Jaime. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping he finds out, and she'll probably tell him, or find out somehow, and then maybe that will create some huge, you know, animosity between the 2 of them, but maybe that just won't exist. So I don't know. So let us know below what you think, and yeah, sorry, this is like reaching an hour. I might try to split this into 2 bits. So, yeah, if you like the video, give a thumbs up. Otherwise, subscribe for more content. And maybe check out some other videos. And until next time, take care.
Bye.